So how did that go down with Volcom and that, when you told them what you thought? And,
oh yeah, it all, as I said, it all, once Jason Steris kind of got involved, and there was some fairly rapid improvements, and again with the Kering group coming on board, you know, they had similar ideas to me. So and me being within the industry, so I wasn't like an outsider that they could have been looked upon as, and having similar business ideas, we were able to move pretty quickly. And there were some really good people in the organisation too. I don't want to, I want to be really clear, I'm not taking credit for all the changes, but,
sure.
But there needed to be a jolt. And
yeah.
I came in with a pretty strong jolt, and it needed to be. I could do that because I was the outside guy.
Right,
and,
yeah.
And I had the background, you know, had the experience and the track record.
I mean, what was the brief when you came on? Did they say, look, we've got problems, or?
Oh yeah, they wanted me to fix the Australian business,
right? Okay.
Australian and New Zealand business, and that's what I said to them. To fix the Australian and New Zealand business, you've got to fix the big business first.
Right.
You know, no, it's just. Yeah, like the little business, the smaller business isn't going to work if the big business doesn't work.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, so you want me to do a job? Well, I've got to do this. This is what you got to. This is what's got to happen.
Yeah.
Right. So that wasn't what they kind of expected, but what they needed. So,
yeah. Yeah.
And it worked out really well, and it actually helped some good people come through.
Right.
Guys like Randy Childress, you know Randy, and Ryan Emigrant. And Jason Steris, they were all able to rise up through the business, and they were very key people in the organisation that were probably held back a little bit.
Right.
And they moved forward and helped the business move forward on the global basis, and some good people in a lot of the regions. As for the Australian business, it was, I like to use the expression, it was like a Rubik's Cube. I knew that what I'd like it to look like, but it wasn't just as easy as moving all the white parts to the front. You know,
right.
It was you know, we had around about 50 staff when I started, or 55 staff, and it was pretty disjointed, and we needed to make some adjustments. And what I'm happy about is. Most of the key people that were there, the good people, are still there today, you know, and they're doing very well, and the business is doing very well.
Yeah,
the Australian business for Volcom and New Zealand is well, we were the only region with Volcom over the last 5 years to continually growing our operating income.
Well, it was losing money when you arrived, wasn't it?
I was losing a shitload.
Yeah.
A lot of money.
I was quite surprised. You know, I worked with you for 2.5 years there, and you sat me down and told me you were losing money. I went, oh shit, what am I doing?
Yeah, it took a while to get it to turn that beast around.
Yeah, but you got it to profit.
Yes, it's a very
job.
good business now, and we're I think this last 12 months, well, I just saw the results come out. I know how profitable the Australian operation was, and. I know that the overall result was just breaking even, so it means, and I know that Europe obviously was doing quite well, and Japan's okay. So obviously the North American businesses struggled a bit, continue to struggle. Right. But I'm proud to say that the Australian business has had growth in our profitability every year since second year I started there.
Right. Is that reflective of the regions that everyone's in? I mean, is the North American surf market, has that taken a hit overall? Or is...
No, I think, I mean, we were coming off a pretty low base to start with in Australia, but we've made the right decisions in our business all the way through. Right. We've made some bad decisions too, but more good ones than bad ones. And a lot of the stuff that we implemented in Australia, like they're reducing the line size down and focusing on key product categories, had been taken up by most of the other regions as well.
Right. Okay.
And those who did follow suit have done quite well as well.
Right. Okay. So you've now worked for 2 publicly listed companies, and yeah, Kering is a private company, but it's pretty much run like a publicly listed companies. What's your thoughts about surf companies being publicly listed? Or
look.
Has it been good or bad? Do you think? What's your reflection on that?
The way it's been done in our industry has been pretty bad. I mean, I think the proof is in the pudding. You know, Quicksilver, an iconic company, basically bankrupt, right?
Right.
Billabong, great global company that was the darling of the ASX, you know, and great Australian iconic brand, global iconic brand.
Mm-hmm.
Basket case for, you know, basically as the corporate side of the business. You know, how many times do we have to look at the front page of a newspaper and see Wipeout Billabong, you know,
Wipeout.
Yeah. So and that's pretty sad because the business. I always said the business at Billabong was better than the corporation. The corporation made most of the key mistakes and dragged the business down, but the business it was a very good business with very good people involved in it.
Yeah, it seemed a bit of the tall poppy syndrome, don't you think? They seem to talk it up and then they seem to want to talk Billabong down. Is that? Did you feel that?
Yeah,
Was
yeah.
it unfair?
Yeah. Look, as I said, that you got to separate the Billabong brand away from Billabong the corporation, right? Billabong the corporation is the one that you know it's they should have changed the name when they listed the company, right? Because Billabong incorporated all the retail, the Element, Von Zipper, Sector 9, Tiger Lily, Nixon, It was all Billabong, right?
Yeah.
Billabong brand actually always was reasonably profitable.
Yeah.
Right. But it was all the other shit, the bad shit, that dragged the name down, right? And it had an adverse effect on the brand because when you splash it in front of the Australian newspapers at Billabong Wipeout,
Yeah.
it looks like the brand is so now the brand isn't as strong as it was, right?
But that didn't help it, did it?
No, not at all.
Well, why didn't they call it GSM? I mean, you were there, weren't you? In
Yeah,
2000?
The company we operated under was called GSM Operations, right? But we listed as Billabong. I don't know. I think Billabong was a sexy name at the time, so I think that's why it was. But it ended up being a noose around the neck. Yeah. Now you look at Quicksilver, for instance, working under, instead of it being Quicksilver Inc., now under Boardriders. So I think that's a very good, a sensible move that they made. I think that
took a while.
Yeah, but that's because now it's not a public company. It's under the ownership of Oaktree. Right. And the Oaktree private equity group have done a really good job. Right. I was probably as sceptical as most when they first took them out of bankruptcy.
Yeah.
But I think they've done. I think they've done a wonderful job of resurrecting Quicksilver as a company, as an operation. Sure. The brand itself has still got some real issues of being an old brand and perceived as an old brand. But if they continue to fight their way out of, I mean, they were up shit creek. They were dead set up shit creek. Well gone, right? So I'm very impressed with what Oaktree have been able to do with working with the key people at Quicksilver. Because there's some really good people at Quicksilver. Yeah. Really good people. And but the direction that was given to them from the public company just sucked, right? Yeah. And they made some really bad decisions. Lots of bad decisions.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think under the Oaktree management, they've restructured. They've had good business principles in place, and I think they're doing a really good job. And that's why I have a lot of now that Billabong will fall under pretty much. More than likely fall under the Oaktree ownership. I think there'll be some good consolidation there. It's going to be interesting though because for everybody in our industry and the greater public, I would think, look at Billabong as a better asset than Quicksilver. Right, given Quicksilver went bankrupt, particularly in the Australian marketplace.
Well, you would have thought it'd happen the other way around, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but the reality is, I think that what's going to come out of this shake-up is actually probably Quicksilver will almost, I think, could also be the senior partner in this, because they have already come through the couple of years with Oaktree as working under the Oaktree systems and restructuring, and Quicksilver was more of a basket case than what Billabong is. You know, Billabong's not great, right? Yeah. But Quicksilver's bankrupt. Yeah. Right. So the senior management, they were probably more embracing to, okay, well, we've got no choice. These people at Boardriders, we've got to do what they want us to do. And the plan has been pretty good. I mean, Quicksilver as an operation, they have improved dramatically in the last couple of years. They've done a really good job, and real credit goes to a lot of the long-standing management and employees of Quicksilver who've moved with it, right? And taken up new ways of doing things, and they've done a great job. I still think the problem they have is the brand is an old brand, and that there's a lot of guys 20 years older than me that wear Quicksilver. Yeah, right? Yeah. And that's not a problem, but it's just too high a percentage of what their market is old, and they have to change that. We're Billabong, as I said, going back to that scenario with Billabong. Billabong are probably sexier and operationally and market-wise better than Quicksilver. But I think Quicksilver have probably got a bit of a head start with their management team, because if you've got 7 key executives in this side and 7 key executives on that side, you don't need 14 key executives to run that business, right? You might need 8 or 10 maximum.
You're making a few people nervous right now.
Well, it's just the reality of life, right? And sure. And it will. I hope and I expect, but I hope as well, that Oaktree will do the right thing and have the right blend of people, and you know, they're going through a pretty strong diligence right now on how the merged business will look. Right. And I'm sure that they'll try to keep the identities separate. Separate. Right, so they'll need to have individuals, but you don't need a CFO for both businesses, do you?
No, you don't. So do you think they're going to ease off the pressure of looking after shareholders and get back to running a surf company like they used to?
They don't have to look after shareholders, they only have to look after themselves. Right?
Oh, that's right, yeah.
So they can make long-term
But they want a profit, obviously,
Yeah, but they can make...
So then,
but they have a better long-term view than the share market. Right. I mean, we talked about this earlier off screen, right? About a business the general business just doesn't go flat line straight up, right? The most successful businesses can have growth and like this, but it doesn't go like that. It goes like this. You have your ups and your downs, and you move on a wave up. Yeah. Right? With public companies, they want you to have this. Anytime you start to have a little bit of a bend down, they want to artificially push you up with something by doing something silly like buying another brand to add on revenue or right? Yeah, right. With a private equity company like Oaktree, they understand businesses like this, right? They don't have the pressures of the share market behind them that's going. Okay. And it's pretty clear, given the length of time that they've taken to actually do the takeover of Billabong, right? After owning 19% for quite I think 20 months or something. Right. Okay. Don't quote me on that exactly, but that obviously they waited till the time was right. They did make sure they did all the due diligence and they did it, and get it to a point where they make the offer to buy the rest, that it was pretty much a shoo-in that it was going to happen. So, and they seem to have a lot of patience in the way they do things, without dragging along, Yeah. So, I didn't know much about Oaktree, but just from what I've witnessed, what they've done so far, I think they look like really good operators, and I think that's good for our industry. I think that having a weak, dysfunctional Billabong and Quicksilver, the two biggest players in our industry, is not good for anybody. Yeah. Right. It doesn't mean I don't think they shouldn't be smaller than they are, but out of control, having high revenues and losing money doesn't do anybody any good. That just means there's lots of shit going into the marketplace, taking up everybody's dollars, right, without anybody making any money, right? Doesn't make sense, right? So that's got to change.
Yeah. So you'd say that it's going to be better off not being in a public listed company, and that maybe that was a mistake back then doing this.
Yeah. Look, as I said again, I think that when Billabong first went publicly listed, it wasn't a bad thing at the time, right? And it was a very well run public company under the guidance of Gary Pemberton as our chairman. He was an excellent chairman, right? And the senior executives and I think Matthew Perrin got a bit of a bum rap for his time at Billabong. He was an excellent CEO, and between him and Gary, they've made some really good long-term decisions that people if anybody can put their memory back to 1999 to 2004, after I left in the end of 2004, and I'll just speak about that time when I was as a public company. All the retailers were making a lot of money out of Billabong. Billabong was making a lot of money. Share makers were making a lot of money out of Billabong, right? Billabong hadn't become a retailer or tried to become a retailer. Everybody was making a lot of good money, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And everybody it was the darling of not only the share market, but the retailers and the consumers. It was a great company.
Good times.
There was all the decisions were made with long term in sight.
Right.
I can't speak too much after that period of time because I left in 2004.
Right.
The business continued to go forward for about another 2 years, and then the shit hit the fan in around 2007.
Yeah.
A lot of Gary left the business, moved on. Can't remember exactly what year. And then from there on, I think the company lost direction and bowed to a lot of share market pressure, right?
It seemed like that's what happened. The share market pressure crept in.
Yeah, because when we were there, when I was there and part of the senior executive, we continually heard from the analysts in the share market that we weren't leveraging the business enough, because we had a very profitable business, a very good profitable business, right? And they always want you to go, okay, well, take this business model and add things onto it and just use that acumen on all the other stuff. And we were really very cautious about what we added on, right? And we didn't just go out and buy stuff for the sake of buying stuff. And Gary always used to say, if it's cheap, there's usually a problem, right?
Come over a bit, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
You're disappearing.
Yeah.
Going back now.
And Gary's thing is, if it's cheap, it's a reason why it's usually cheap, right? But you don't want to overpay either, right?
Yeah. And
just look for good assets that that you can get value out of, right? We were pretty conscious about the acquisitions we made, and the acquisitions we made in that period I was there all were quite good. You know, basically Von Zipper we pretty much got for a song, and we got some great human resource out of that. And the business became within a couple of years we were making a lot of money out of Von Zipper Element, and we didn't get it for free. Like basically we got Von Zipper for, but a lot of the acquisition cost for Element was in earnouts for Johnny, the original founder, and it was a great deal for him because the business was extremely profitable and grew that business tenfold in a number of years.
It seemed like they had a great model going every time they bought a company.
But we bought things that were not conflicting, and there was a reason for buying them, and they had to have good people with them. Yeah. And if we didn't have the structure of the people, we weren't interested, right? That changed after, in that period after I'd left, right? And after Gary left, right? and I think that they bought some pretty average assets and paid a lot of money for them.
Right.
With not a lot of vision. It was more about just buying what you could. Right?
Yeah.
You know, to add on. Yeah, we need to
And
need to keep the see,
was this the pressure they were under? Just keep growing,
yeah.
keep growing, keep
well,
adding,
we were getting,
keep doing what you're doing.
We were getting like 20% growth or plus every year, right?
Yeah, massive.
And if you know if in the share market is such a fickle business. If you're getting 20% growth a year, right? The next year they want you to get 25.
Yeah, right.
10% is not good enough, right? Which is crazy.
Yeah.
Right? Most businesses would love to grow 10% every year, particularly when you get to that size, right? So it's just like, well, you're not growing quick enough, right? So the share price drops.
Yeah.
Right? And it's just like, so then all of a sudden there's this false economy about, well, you've got to buy, you've got to acquire all these other companies to add on.
Yeah.
Right? And quite often they weren't that profitable, right? And they weren't ever going to be that profitable, but they're still adding the bottom line on, but they're not adding the price on.
Right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All they're doing is going, oh, okay, we increased our profitability, right? But yeah, you had to spend 100 million to get to get 2 million to add to the bottom line.
That's what it seemed like.
Not good business, right?
Yeah, no.
And again, it was, you know, I don't put all the blame on any one individual. I think there was a lot of things going on, but I do think that a company in a public scenario, particularly since we had such a great chairman in Gary Pemberton, right? And those of you who don't know Gary should Google him.
Yeah.
He's an iconic Australian business person. Now I'm very fortunate to be able to work under him,
Right.
and he gave us great direction. After Gary left, Ted Kunkel was on our board, and Ted was the chairman. And I think that you know, I don't want to put all the blame on Ted. You can't put all the blame on Ted, but under his watch, things changed fairly dramatically, right?
Right.
And it could be timing, could be anything. But the unfortunate thing for Ted is that, you know, Ted, you look at Ted's previous major business background was he was with Foster's Brewing, right?
Right.
In the 80s and 90s, and Ted was, and I believe he was the chairman and CEO of Foster's at a time when they were, Foster's in the 90s, 80s and 90s, you know, was an iconic Australian brand, right?
Well, we all drank it, didn't we?
Well, we all over the world, but everywhere.
Yeah.
Foster's Brewing, you know, it was one of the big brands for Australia. Probably the first big brand Australia ever had that went global, right? And while under Ted's watch, they bought a company in California called Beringer Wines, right? Because they wanted to move into the wine business away from the beer. I think they paid around $1 billion for it. And about 4 or 5 years later, they sold it for $100 million or something.
Wow.
Right. And they borrowed a lot of money to do that, and and it's just, and that was pretty much the end of Foster's Brewing as a global brand, right?
Right.
And fast forward 10 years or so, and you got this iconic brand, the Australian brand Billabong, that's global, right?
Right.
Killing it. Being told that we need to buy all this stuff and and leverage it out. So what do? We went out and we borrowed lots and lots of money. Well, sorry, I wasn't involved with that.
Yeah, right.
They borrowed lots and lots of money and bought all these assets and and you know, and GFC hit and timing and retail and same thing happened.
Crash.
Same thing happened. Borrowed too much money, got into debt issues. That affected the core businesses,
Yeah.
And same deal, exactly the same deal. Bought bad assets or paid too much for the assets they purchased, right? And then got into debt issues, and then bang, there goes the company. So that's the pressure of public companies, you know. And they don't all go that way, but Jesus, the two big ones in our industry haven't they?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I know you're not Gordon, but what would you think Gordon's thinking right now after, say, the past 18 years since it floated?
Oh, good question. I think Gordon, he's such a battler. He battles day to day, right? And I don't think he might, at the end of the day, now that he's pretty much out of, well, we'll be out of it now.
Yeah,
won't
right.
have any ownership now for the first time in Billabong, from my understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know the complete ins and outs, but I would believe that would have to be the case.
Yeah.
Might be the first time he really has a time to reflect. But I think with Gordon, the way I've always known him is that he'd be more worried about the battle today than looking back on past victories or past losses, right?
Right.
You know, it's what's in front of him today that he'd be looking at. So
right.
I don't think he'd have, you know, you can't have too many regrets when you've created, you know, basically such a great iconic company and the successes that he had.
Right.
So,
yeah,
amazing.
As did the other companies.
The one thing that I did say to Gordon at one point, well, particularly when the company was public, was, Gordon, Billabong's not you. Billabong's 1,000 people, right? And we all come to every day, right?
Right.
But in saying that, Billabong would have never existed without Gordon. Not, you know, and he was the driving force, and his fundamentals were what we put in place. But I think what he lost touch of at one point, it wasn't all about him. There was, you know,
right. Okay.
It was, we all lived it and breathed it, you know.
Yeah.
And when I say we, I mean literally thousands of people around the world who worked for Billabong or were associated with Billabong, or had shops that were relied on Billabong, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We all had a piece of that thing, you know. And,
oh, absolutely.
You know, some of us more than others, you know, because we lived it 24 hours a day. But but you know, we had a pretty harsh conversation on that in a hotel room somewhere in fucking Europe somewhere. But it was it was just like, you know, and it was good. I think he's you know, good. He's a pretty hard bugger.
Sure.
I don't think he softened him that much, but at least he actually, I think he might have started to think that it's not only him who thinks about Billabong.
Yeah.
And but on reflection, as I said, just knowing him, I think he's more interested in what's today's battle is.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting. So, if you were a surf company today, would you rather be one of the big four, or would you rather be a new brand on the block, you know, a new fresh brand?
It depends. Depends at what level I'm involved, you know. I mean,
is it easier to invent, or is it easier to reinvent? I think that's what I'm trying to say.
Okay. So I think that I've got a lot of optimism for a turnaround in the fortunes of Billabong and Quicksilver. I think they've both got so many good people involved in their businesses, and they've still got so many good things involved with those businesses. Mm-hmm. And you know, it's obvious that they still have the support of the general industry retailers,
right,
and also the consumers.
Yeah.
But they've got to get their shit together. And the one thing that they really need to do is look for quality of business and not quantity. You know, they need to downsize the businesses a bit.
Right.
And
what does that mean? Less doors, or less products, less SKUs?
More, look at rather than try to selling 1,000 units and making $1 each, right? Sell 10 units and make $10 each.
Right.
You know, like they're just, for too long it's been all about revenue, not about profitability. You know, and revenue's nothing, right?
Right.
You know, they have been they've you know, between the two of them, right, for the last maybe half dozen years, you know, they've turned over, you know, well over $1.5 billion globally, right? You know how much profit they made between them? Between Quicksilver's losses and Billabong's nearly nothings? Fucking nothing.
Wow.
Right, so let's talk about, we've had $10 billion, right, of revenue, right?
Yeah.
And no profit made, right? You've got literally tens of thousands of very hard-working people, right? Going to work every day, right? And a lot of them extremely talented and really good at what they do.
Absolutely.
To make fucking nothing.
Wow.
Right? You look at it in that perspective, it's a crime.
Yeah, that's disappointing.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So, reality is that they need to change their business structures, and I think under Oaktree that there's a good opportunity for them to do that. And public companies, they can't do that.
Yeah.
Because they've always got, it's too hard for them to make the hard calls, right?
Yeah.
They're always looking for the soft calls, and it's hard to go backwards. So I think Oaktree under Oaktree, they have the ability to do that, or the opportunity to do that. I don't, I can't say for sure that's going to happen, but I'm optimistic that there's a good opportunity for that to happen. And I think only my limited experience with Oaktree is basically seeing what the proof of what they've done to date in the banana industry with Quicksilver, and I think they've done a really good job in bringing Quicksilver back operationally. Right, I think they've done a really good job of doing that. And I think they've done that working with the team at Quicksilver, and getting them on board with their thinking. And I think we all know they were pretty much dead and buried, and they were bankrupt, and looked like they never recovered. And they've done a really good job. So I think if that is transferred into what they do with Billabong, and they're combining the two together and utilising the good resources they have in both companies, I think it could be really good for the industry. Yeah,
that's good news. Were you surprised when Kering announced they were selling Volcom?
Nah.
No? You surprised they owned it in the first place? Since they had all the luxury brands, I mean Gucci, I can't even remember all the others, not being a...
No, I wasn't surprised. I was a little surprised when I first, because I've been there about 6 months when Kering bought Volcom. But the strategy, the Kering basically has two divisions. So the luxury division, which is the big division, which has Gucci, Yves Saint Laurent, Stella McCartney, Fadiga Badaga, go on and on.
It's all just the brands we wear.
Yeah, huge. And then on the sports and lifestyle division, which Volcom became a part of, Volcom and Electric, because Volcom owned Electric.
That's right.
Was basically there was another small, Scandinavian shoe company, climbing company called Tree Torn or something, but it was very small, and I don't think it lasted very long. And then the other one was Puma. Yeah. Right. And Puma was a pretty good brand. So the idea was to leverage the sports and lifestyle. But I think that it's always been a struggle for them with the sports and lifestyle, and they are really good at what they do in the luxury division. Their profitability is ridiculous in that luxury division, and their growth is ridiculous in the luxury division, and they do a sensational job of that. So after years of very average results out of Volcom and to a lesser extent Puma, when 2 years ago they let Jason Steris go, the CEO, who was doing a really good job of making all the adjustments required at Volcom. And I really liked working with Jason. He was a really good operator. He just, probably the thing that dragged him down a little bit was so much change needed to happen in North America, and it was hard to make those adjustments. He made a lot of good changes, but mainly on a global basis, and North America was so set in their ways, it was hard to get them to move, and that they were continually going backwards, and it was still hard to change their direction. So, and after, I think, 3 years at the helm, he hadn't hit the numbers they needed, and so he got shoved, which I thought was really disappointing, because I think he was doing a really good job.
Yeah.
From that point on, my personal opinion was, I said they'll give us 2 years, right? Under the new direction of Todd Heimel, who was a Kering employee. He was put in charge of Volcom globally. I said they'll give us 2 years, and then if it globally hasn't turned around, you know,
Right.
either title will be gone or they'll sell the business. That's
okay.
more than likely, and then there's rumours about the Puma thing. So after 12 months, it was pretty clear that North America wasn't turning around. The Australian business has been, as I said, the Australian business was really good. We've had growth each of the last 5 years. We've moved forward. We've hit our numbers every year.
Yeah.
We're more profitable than the US at the moment. So, well, not more profitable than the US.
That's a good job.
On about 10th of turnover. But there was I thought the writing would be on the wall. When I was offered a redundancy through a global rationalisation program 6 months ago, I suggested that I knew that it was all about getting ready for a sale process. There was a lot of denial about that, but it was pretty clear that's what was going on. And it wasn't really, it was kind of denied right up until exactly 2 years to the day that Jason's Terrace was, I think about within 24, 48 hours when the announcement came that they were going to sell, they were putting it on the market. So, I know it sounds like a bit of a smart ass, but I pretty much got it to the day of what was going to happen.
I think you and I were having a late night drink at your farewell, and you said something like that you were a bit disappointed, like you wouldn't have minded staying on a bit longer, or was that true? Or
look,
were you a you beauty, I'm out of here?
No, it was never a you beauty, I'm out of here.
Okay.
Not until I got out of there.
Yeah, right.
No,
because you like I worked with you for 2.5 years, and you created a great atmosphere.
I loved
it was a good team, great people.
I thoroughly enjoyed my entire time.
You really put your heart and soul into it.
Yeah, I loved it. I build a team, and that's what I do. I build teams. I think of myself as a captain coach.
Yeah.
I've got to be there in doing the yards, but my main job is a coach, right? I put the team together, and I work with the team, and we live, we win and we lose. You know, when we lose, I lose.
Yeah.
When we win, I win.
Yeah.
Right. But it's always we.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And that was always the focus, and I thoroughly enjoyed. I had a great team of people. You know, I've got there's some of the people at Volcom are some of the best people I've ever worked in the industry.
Yeah, is that right?
Yeah.
I mean, I know them. They're great people.
Yeah.
We still see them, don't we? I mean,
and good people.
Friends for life.
Yeah.
As is Billabong, but probably more so Volcom.
I mean, there's some of the outputs that those people do for what it's an amazing output and quality of work. So, I think that's it's a great team there, and it was. I was offered a redundancy, which really took me back. I was actually so far out of left field. It wasn't funny, given how successful we are, right, as for the region, and the only one that's gone 4 to 5 years in a row and going from strength to strength. But at the end of the day, it's the rationalisations to get the business in the best position to sell, right?
Yeah, right.
Which basically comes out of what it looks like on the books, right? And taking a substantial salary out of the region, and then you put it below the line because it's a redundancy,
right?
Not employing anybody else. Just to come in, so it looks good on the books for a purchaser. So once you get through the process, when you get asked to take redundancy, it's not like you've got much of an option.
No, fair enough.
But then I looked at it from the perspective, I kind of knew that the business would be sold, and I thought it was a good opportunity. I really feel that the position, the people there, particularly management, are very strong. Alison Thomas and Jono.
That was a great appointment, I thought.
Yes.
Alison's a great lady.
Yeah.
Very talented. Did you have any say in that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, cool.
I mean, I was had to fight pretty hard for that.
Yeah, right.
But I'm also proud of the fact that Alison was the first female chief executive of a surf brand, of a mainly male surf brand. Actually, sports brand in our industry, which is a great achievement for
a
her.
great achievement.
And she's earned it, you know.
Yeah, I was very happy when I heard
Yeah.
the news. Yeah, for
So-
sure. And I know everyone there respects Alison.
Oh, yeah,
and looks up to her.
Yeah,
and,
no, she's good.
she'll do a good job. Yeah,
Yeah.
mother hen.
Yeah. So but to finish that off, yeah. So once I got my head around it, you know, I thought, okay, this is my job here is to the next 6 months is to work with Alison and the rest of the team to make sure that the structure's right. We had, you know, global. Weren't quite sure Alison was the person for the job, even though she had enormous respect through the whole business, but. Yeah, she had to prove herself, and she's done that, which has been good. And so now that I'm out the other side, I'm happy as Larry. You know, I got my head around it pretty quickly and just worked with a very positive manner to do a good transition, and it's been good. You know, it's good.
Yeah, well done.
They're pretty generous in my remuneration.
Well, that always helps.
Well, yeah,
you deserved it. I mean, you did a
no,
great job. I don't want to make light of it. But
no,
yeah,
I think, but it was a part of the process thing of you know, thanks, but it would have been. I was enjoying my time there, but is it a different? They're going through a different phase now, and we'll have to see what happens.
Going to happen with changes.
And you know, I'm not sure I could deal with having to deal with a new owner and front up for the first couple of days and tell them I don't like the colour of their tie or something.
Yeah, no, fair enough. So just final question, what's your advice for retailers in Australia for the next 5 years?
Yeah, look, I'm very bullish about the industry. As I said, I'm having some time off, and I'm not intending to. I'm definitely not jumping at anything, but I've had opportunities to do things outside the industry, some good opportunities. But I kind of like this industry. You know, stepped away from it once before, and only realised how much I enjoyed it when I came back into it.
Yeah, right.
And but I really feel very bullish about what's going to happen in the next 5 years. I think there's been a lot of doom and gloom over the last, you know, half a dozen years, and you know, with what the bigger companies in the industry have done with e-commerce and lots of different things going on, there's been a lot of negativity. But I see there's some really, you know, some really good new growth coming in. I think that the cleaning up of Billabong and Quicksilver will be really solid for the industry. I think that's important, right? I don't think it's fundamental to the success of the industry, but I think it will go a long way to cleaning things up quicker.
Yeah.
I think that there's some really good young brands coming through, and as I say, there's 100 different tribes of surfers out there now. There's not just one or two or three, you know. So there's so many opportunities to link into different types of surfers. You know, you go, as I said, you went to Snapper today or yesterday, and you know, guys with long hair, guys with short hair, guys with no hair, you know,
beards.
Yeah, you know, it's just riding single fins, riding fishes, riding you know, everything under the planet, you know. And they're all got their own personas, right? But they all consume.
They all surf.
Yeah. And they're all part of a surfing lifestyle, but it's their part of the surfing, surfing tribe, right?
Yeah, right.
So if we can reach, and they're all consumers, so there's an opportunity there, right? That's one thing, right? So all the new opportunities with the current. But then there's two massive things that I see coming through that I think are completely underestimated. One is wave pools.
Yeah,
right. I don't think anybody realises how. Well, not many people I think realise how wave pools are going to change the industry here in Australia and everywhere, because it's not only just to go to inland areas where you can't surf, you know, already. That's going to be where they kind of start, I think, and that's where they're looking at, right? And I've been through some presentations on the wave pools, and they talk about they need this, you know, major city demographic to make it work, and I'm not sure about that. And I've talked to a lot of guys, and again, we use the example of the Gold Coast, right?
Yeah.
Gold Coast is a amazing surf location. You know, you only had to be here this last couple of weeks to see how many thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of surfers there are, right?
It's looked,
and they come from all over the world, right? There's locals, but they come from all over the world, right? But on the Gold Coast, we don't have surf all the time, right?
Yeah.
But there's always surfers looking for surf, right?
Yeah.
Okay. If we put a wave pool down at, you know, on the Tweed Coast, back at Tweed Heads or something, right? And in those periods from September through to December, when the winds are all northerly, there's no surf, all those surfers would be surfing the wave pool, right? I would love to. Okay, I just battled it out on all the points this week, but it was epic. You know, it was good waves and stuff. But I and a lot of people I know would go, I'd love just to be. Book in a Thursday morning and go for a surf for an hour, and no, I don't have to hassle for waves and and I could get my turn, That's for the surfers who really exist, let alone the thousands and tens of thousands of people take it up, because they don't have to go and fight for a wave in the ocean. Yeah. Right?
Well, it must be intimidating doing it.
Because most places there's a consistent wave, right, like Snapper Rocks or Rainbow Bay or it's got a ready-made fucking mongrel crowd on it, right? So it's pretty hard so there'll be more participants to be able to come in and they'll be able to surf. So there's going to be going to create a lot of new people surfing. Right?
Absolutely.
The next thing that I see is that
keep us involved.
And keep us involved.
I mean, you hear people giving up because I just can't be bothered.
Can't get away.
They come back for sure. Yeah.
Absolutely. The second one is the Olympics, right? And I think it's completely underestimated as to the value of having surfing the Olympics over the next 20 years, right? Because what's happened is surfing is actually starting to get its sex appeal back. You know, people talk about, you know, surfing became unsexy for the general population. It's actually started to become, because there was oversaturation, right? And there was too much crappy product, and there was too much. Right? And
the correction we had.
And I'm not sure it'll ever get back to that stage on its own, right? With the general population, you know, everybody in Australia used to have a Billabong, Quicksilver, Ripcord, Boardriders at one point in time. Man,
sport
woman,
for
child.
Choice, aren't we, really?
Not man, woman, child, but everybody, you know. Malcolm Turnbull and Barnaby Joyce would have had a pair of board shorts, you know.
Not Tony Abbott.
Not anymore. But with the Olympics, it's going to. You've got to think about this. It's going to, for the rest of the world that don't have a lot of surfing, it's going to make it's going to grow the sport in those regions. So China, for instance, right now is spending tens of millions of dollars on their surf program.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
They've got Peter Townend. PT is the national coach of the Chinese surf organisation.
He's the most Aussie surfing bloke I know.
Yeah, but he did it with Americans and got them up and running with the NSSA.
Yeah, that's right. He's in China. Wow.
40 years later, he's doing it with the Chinese, right? So that's an indication. You're going to have, you know, you can imagine a sheik in Saudi Arabia putting his own wave pool for his kids, you know, so they can become Olympic champions. But anyway, that's to push it. But what's going to happen here is we see a little bit right now with, you know, Scotty James, right, snowboarding, right, for the Olympics.
Yeah, well, we know their names now, don't we? Yeah.
I know Scotty James, always have, because he's a Volcom guy.
That's right, yeah, I saw that.
But everybody knows who Scotty James is right now.
Yeah, that's right.
Right, okay? Yeah. Right. But with surfing, we are going to have the best athletes with the best opportunity for the gold medals, particularly with what the program Surfing Australia has put in place, right?
Sure.
And they've done a wonderful job with and going forward. So what's going to happen? The Australian public is going to put our surfers on the same pedestal in the Women's Olympics as Ian Thorpe's.
Yeah, right.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So it's so the general population is going to look up to surfing a lot more because as an Olympic sport, and that will have a big flow-on effect to participants from people who wouldn't know, particularly when you throw wave pools as well.
Yeah.
Right.
So
that's going to grow the industry a lot over the next 5 to 20 years. So I think there's a good opportunity. And also, but even apart from that, I think that it's, you know, people are coming back to surf shops, you know, the good surf shops. You know, I think that I think it's really important that you know, people understand who they're, you know, if the retailers who understand who their customers are doing well.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not just the customers they used to have, right? Because they're the ones that's why they're shrinking, because it's the old Quicksilver guy is 65 now.
Yeah.
And he's only buying a pair every couple of years, right?
Yeah.
He needs the young guys who are coming in and who
want to spend every 3 months.
Yeah. And need to get a new Quicksilver customer, right?
Yeah.
And the Quicksilver need to work out how to get that to reach that new tribe, right? But there's plenty of and I'm sure the Quicksilvers and the Billabong are working on that, right? But there's plenty of other companies like the Vistas and
Rickers.
And small companies that are coming through and they're doing a really good job. They're critical size, and there's lots and lots of brands, right? Little brands, and some of them are doing a really good job. Just because they have to be good, they have to do a good job, you know. Otherwise, it's just spreading your money too thin on you. But I do encourage retailers to work out what the tribes are in their region, who they can touch, and then work out what type of product they're going to need.
Yeah. So well, there you go. That's good advice. Yeah. So we're going to see you back in the industry one day. I think that's what you're intimidating. Going to have a little rest first.
I don't know. We'll see what happens. So. Yeah, sit back. What I don't think I'll do is I don't know. I've got lots of different ideas and plans, but I can't see myself going working for a big company.
No.
No. I've got a few ideas, but I'll keep them to myself at the moment. So.
All right. Great. Thanks a lot, Dougall. That was really good.
No worries. Cheers, mate.